Hello, everybody. Just getting my water. Just getting my water for story time. Oh no. How does it sound? Is there an echo? Are we good? Okay, I'm gonna get my tea. I'll be right back. Yay. Okay. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer, maybe a couple more minutes, just in case anyone else wants to join. And then it's story time. Okay. Okay, let's do it. Let's get into my story time. Um, so I guess I'm just gonna introduce the experiment again, just so we remember what I'm doing here, because I forgot. um, Basically, this is an experiment where I'm going on dating apps and I'm looking for guys who I can get their charts and see how it lines up with my chart. Basically, I'm going to use real dates to explore how synastry plays out in real life. And I'm not exactly sure. I do have a spreadsheet to keep track of details, but I'm not sure exactly, you know, what details we're keeping track of. But I do have good stories, so we'll start with just the stories, right? Um, and I'll start by first, before I start, I want you all, whoever's here, to put one in the chat to confirm that you won't judge me for this story, because this story is very bad. This is like not, I'm not proud. I'm not proud of what happened with this story. It's pretty cringe. So, one in the chat, please, to confirm you won't judge me. um, okay, and I'm just gonna get into it. So, this was the first guy right here. Oh no, that's me. This is my chart. Hi, guys. This is, thank you. This is the guy. I'm gonna call him A Chad. He was A Chad, okay? He was a typical Chad, like the meme. Okay, so that's what his nickname's gonna be. And this chart looked crazy to me. Also, he was like one of the first people to respond with a chart. And it looked crazy. Um, he had he has Venus on my ascendant, which I've never been with someone who had Venus in Scorpio, so I had to see about that. And our angles were all conjoined. His ascendant was on my midheaven, or his midheaven on my Venus. Chiron is on my descendant, which ended up playing out quite astrologer good. His moon on my north node. And then we have all these trines from Virgo to my Taurus stuff. The concern that I had when I saw this chart was the Pluto on my moon and also Mars being there co-present in the 12th house that I can't see very well. The other concern was his Neptune pretty closely opposing my sun, and that played out for sure. All of these things played out. Okay, so I'm going to begin by, I'm going to leave his chart up because this is the meat of what happened. Basically, he ended up being like a very classic narcissist, which I use that term lightly because everyone throws it around, you know, in pop psychology, everyone's narcissistic, but I think of it more of as a scale. And my dad's narcissistic, so I'm very familiar with like dealing with people like that. But I've never been love bombed like this before. I think I told you guys, like, after the first date, it was crazy. It was crazy how intense it was. It's interesting now. I'm back on the dating apps now, and it's interesting seeing how all the other guys are, and they are not as intense. They aren't trying to get me at a dinner date as fast as possible. They're being a lot chiller. So I don't know. I thought it was the Scorpio Venus stuff. I don't know. But yeah, super love bombed. He basically asked me a lot of questions on our first date, which I thought was flattering. And I honestly had the synastry in the back of my mind, so I wasn't thinking of it as a red flag. I thought of it as a green flag. But he was asking me a lot of questions, and that turned out to be so that he could love bomb me properly and to do it right and to figure out what my dreams were and to promise me those dreams. And he was just very charismatic. You know how narcissists can be. So the first date was really intense. I wasn't planning to see him again, but he ended up texting me so much, like paragraphs, essays, which I like. I like reading what people have to say. And he used all that information to kind of riz me. And he got me on a second date, which I did not tell any of you about because I didn't want the shame of, like, you all didn't want me to date him. Everyone said no. Everyone was like, don't do it. This looks bad. And I had to see it through. And there was the shame, okay? So I went on a second date with him, and he acted like he wanted... Well, on the first date, he said, within 30 minutes, can I please just focus on you? Like, can we be exclusive? And I was like, I've known you for 30 minutes. Absolutely not. But through the texting and the second date, I was like, okay, fine. We can be exclusive. If you want to be exclusive, I deleted the dating app. And he was like, thank you. And we had a good date for the most part. I'm looking back now, it was him getting more information about me and flattering me, lots of love bombing. And eventually, oh my God. Eventually it got really bad. Okay, so I don't want to jump ahead, but the reason I continued, even though I knew that I probably shouldn't, was because I'm very curious. I'm a curious cat. And we had really good lifestyle compatibility. Like, he was a surfer, so he was a stoner, he was an animal lover. So we had a lot of lifestyle compatibilities. The love bombing, I've never experienced love bombing like that before. That was like artful. That was like 5 stars. That was really good love bombing. I've never been love bombed like that before. And he mirrored me really well, so it made it feel really special. And that's the, like, by design, what love bombing does. You really can't get out of it unless you've experienced it before. I guess I don't really know. I don't even know if I could have got out of that again ever. Like, I think I'd fall for that every time because I'm a little delulu. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. We'll see on the next date. What's super funny too? Well, okay. So there were a lot of red flags, though. There were a lot of red flags. The love bombing obviously was a red flag. He said he loved me after the second date. What the fuck? Okay? He said he loved me after the second date. So, that should have been a sign, but I'm romantical. I'm romantical. Of course you love me on the second date. Oh, it's so bad. But yeah, he future faked a lot. He said he was gonna move me up to his ranch house. He was gonna lease me a horse. He was gonna buy a house in Costa Rica. We were gonna live in both spots. We were gonna all of these plans. And that should have been a red flag. That should have been a red flag, but when someone's promising you everything, you kind of want to believe it, So the other red flags, he had very, very low relationship integrity. It turned out when he told me he just wanted to focus on me, he didn't really mean that, and he was still on dating apps the first month we were dating. What the fuck? I found that out a lot later. I'll get into that tea. He was liking girls' pictures on Instagram. He was very misogynistic, and I tried to write that off. I know this is really bad. Okay, I'm sorry. This is really bad. I tried to write it off as I know this is so bad. I don't even want to say it, but I was thinking he's older and like Gen X, like maybe they're not all men are more aware of that sort of thing, you know what I mean? So I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, which is so dumb. So dumb. And by misogynistic, I mean like he objectified women all the time. He would just be like, she's pretty, she's hot, to random girls. Okay? And what was interesting is in the first month when he was doing all the love bombing and whatnot, when we would have discussions that I would call him out for shit, like I would call him out for his misogynistic things. I would call him out for, he would like misgender people, non-binary people. He'd misgender them and I'd correct him and I'd do the whole thing, and he'd be like, thank you for the feedback, and he'd absorb it. But that only lasted a month. And within a couple weeks, I saw a crack in the mask. It was when TikTok was getting banned. And I think I was reading an article, I said something about it, and he said under his breath, like as he was walking away, like, well, good. Like, good, TikTok should be banned. Which came out of left field because he hadn't indicated anything about not liking TikTok. And then he gaslit me about that. I was like, did you just say that's good? And he's like, no, I didn't say anything. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So my brain was trying to compute what he was saying and how he was acting. And if any of you have ever been in a relationship with a narcissist, you know how much that fucks with your mind and your reality. You enter a different reality with a narcissist, basically. So eventually we figured that he admitted to saying that, and he admitted to not really knowing much about TikTok, but last year he went down the Twitter pipeline. He admitted to saying this, that he got alt-righted on Twitter, and Twitter hates China. Twitter hates China. And apparently TikTok equals China. And so he doesn't like TikTok because of he like literally was spouting off the garbage that the politicians say. And I was like, this is so cringe, bro. What do you but it still had only been a month, so he still had a little bit of energy to be like reel it in and be like, "Oh, well, I didn't really mean it." And like, I just don't know. I just need to be educated. Like saying all the things he should be saying to keep me there. So that was the first like section of our relationship. But there are two like main stories that ended it. That should have ended it. There are a lot of things that should have ended it. I got like, yeah, there's a lot of things that should have ended it, but these two stories were what really ended it. Okay, so when Elon, our bestie, we love Elon. When Elon did his Nazi salute so proudly twice in a row, I hi, yay, hi Hal. So when Nazi salute happened, I was like losing my mind. I couldn't believe that happened. Like I couldn't believe that happened and that people were pretending it didn't happen. It was like it's like being in a narcissistic relationship with the politicians because they're telling you that it's not happening, but it is happening. It's really weird. So I'm like I'm like, did that just happen for real? And I asked him about, well, the first time it happened, he was like, wow, he did it twice. And I was like, yeah, he did it twice. And then we ended up, normally I'd be at his house. That's where we hung out most of the time. But in this particular situation, eventually we came to my house. And that meant that all my stuff was at his house, but we were at my house. Are you following? Okay. And I had been posting a bunch of Elon Nazi memes in my stories and like showing them to him, and he was not entertained all of a sudden. Like days later, he like was annoyed by it and like rolling his eyes and shit. And I was like, what? Why are you rolling your eyes? What's going on? Oh my god, you guys, this is just so crazy. This is so crazy. He is deranged. Okay, so I started to kind of short circuit because I'm like, you said you thought it was a Nazi salute and now you're like tweaking out? Like, what is this? And he's like, well, I just don't know if it was a Nazi salute. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm like, how do you not know? There's multiple angles with like a lot of people were there to witness it. You know, what do you mean? And he basically said that he thought that it was probably a deep fake that Jewish people doctored. That's how Twitter pilled this guy was, okay? Or is, I should say. And how do you react to that when someone says to you that they think that the footage was doctored by Jewish people? Like, I like kind of immediately, oh my god, your roommate was like that too? Did they say, like, I heard that people thought that he didn't do it and he was just giving his heart out to you. But I'd never heard anyone else say that they thought footage was doctored. Like, that really, that twisted me up a bit. And I was like, kind of, I wanted to run away. But I couldn't run away because we were at my house. And all my stuff was at his house. So I kind of had to immediately go into fucking fawn mode. Because now I'm like, this guy's a Nazi apologist. And he's blaming Jews specifically. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on? The other thing was that within our first month, I told you that I found he was like on Hinge still and like talking to other girls. When I found out, we had a big blow up and I basically broke up with him, but he begged me to come back and said all the right things. And he's like, you can have all access to everything. He gave me the password to his like bank, to his you did join at the perfect time. He gave me the passwords to his bank, his like Schwab, his stocks. Like, I had the password to everything in the house, his phone. And he's like, go through my phone. I don't care. I want you to be a warden, basically. Oh my God, there was a street interview. Oh my God, we're gonna have to watch that. Okay, so people are thinking that. This is... Oh my God. Anyway. Okay, so I had access to his phone. Which, again, when this happens and you have to be a warden in a relationship within the first fucking month, you have a mental illness, Heidi. Like... And I wasn't telling anyone because I knew all of you would tell me that I'm mentally ill. I have very deep-rooted daddy issues, and I did heal a lot with him, which I will get to. But okay, I would go through his phone, and he would delete texts, but you can go through deleted texts, and he didn't know how to delete deleted texts. Yeah, of course I checked the bank accounts, and they were fine. He had money, and he would pretend he didn't have money. You know how a lot of rich people are. So I'd go through his phone. He would text his mom and then delete the texts, which I thought was so fucking weird. So I decided to go through his texts with his mom, and they were so bad, you guys. They were so bad. He was like abusing the fuck out of this poor woman. He told me that I know that they had trauma. He had a lot of trauma from her. They have a very complicated relationship. I'm not trying to air his dirty laundry, but I'm just trying to point out when someone hates their mom, that is a red flag. And they hate them, but they're still in contact with them. Not that they like hate them and they put up boundaries and that sort of thing. No, they hate them. Yes, I had to black hole what he said, but it was like full on lash out, off the handle, saying really, really, really mean things. A lot of it. So I found that, and that was in the back of my mind, like, okay, this is usually a really bad sign, and the fact that he's misogynistic, like, he clearly doesn't like women. And so I'm realizing, while we're talking about this Nazi shit, when I'm like, he said Jews doctored the footage, this is like my brain trying to make sense of things in the moment. I was like, there's no way this guy really hates Jews and hates women. Like, he can't really hate all of them. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's insane. He can't hate both. Because I'm like, there's this scary guy at my house now. Now I kind of am seeing what's going on. And I say to him directly. And I should say also that when he said he thought Jews doctored the footage, he went down the Twitter pipeline, Nazi pipeline, and like he started telling me Holocaust denial arguments, which I had never heard in my life, ever. I've never heard that shit before. I knew it existed, but I didn't know what it was. And so he had all of this like ammo against Jewish people that he used in evidence of why they would doctor the footage. And so, side note, like, that night, I went down a rabbit hole to, like, try and figure out what the fuck. Dude, Mel Gibson, he loved Mel Gibson, too. I didn't know that. And he had this whole conspiracy about Hollywood and Jewish people, and that's why Mel Gibson got canceled, and, like, I had so many arguments about how the Holocaust didn't happen, or it wasn't as bad, and how Hitler isn't that bad. And Hitler had some good points. He said that out loud at my house. Hitler had some good points. But he kind of laughed at the end. So I'm like, there's no way you're really like this. There's no way you're this full of hate, and you were love bombing me like yesterday. Like, there's no way. And so I'm like, I tell him specifically, I'm like, you know, I don't believe you really hate women, and I don't think you hate all Jews. Like, I think you're good deep down. And he said, you guys, I can't make this up. He laughed, and he said, well, you're naive. And I thought he was, my brain, I didn't think, I knew he was serious, but I was like, haha, cute, like, this is a joke. This is a big joke. All of this is a joke. Oh my God. So, like, again, I fell down the rabbit hole on my phone. I was like asking ChatGPT, asking DeepSeek, asking all the different AIs like what the Holocaust denial theories are and like how to disprove them, which is really easy to do, actually. Like these fucking guys, dude, they're so dumb. He's so stupid. These people are so easily like they're just so easily puppeted. It's so ridiculous. So I had to reconcile in that moment and like realize the severity of the situation and feeling very, very stuck, you know. So I basically had to dissociate, there. And I decided that we had to go back to his house, and I had plans like 2 days later to come back here. And so my plan was to like play it cool until I could leave for when I was supposed to leave because yeah, there's even more, dude. When one of the dude, we fought so much for 2 months. Like I've never had a relationship like that. Normally the first 6 months is the honeymoon phase and you don't fight at all, really, you know? We would fight so much about how fucking stupid he was and how basic relationship integrity, like him liking girls' posts and like being on Hinge and me. I went through his phone one night and I saw that he didn't, like I said, he didn't delete Hinge. He just deactivated it, and he would reactivate it and then deactivate it and shit. And so I like confronted him on that. And trigger warning, you guys. At this point, I want to give a trigger warning because he goes a little unhinged. I should have given a trigger warning earlier. Is Carl here? Carl. Because we had a fight weeks before that about him doing that shit, and I confronted him on it, and he wouldn't let me go. He wouldn't let me leave. Like, he physically would not let go of me. So he wouldn't let me leave. So that was in the back of my mind when I was figuring out how I was going to get out of this. Hi, Nicholas. So I was planning to leave when he already knew I was leaving, which was 2 days later, because I knew if I was like, I gotta go, I don't think this is gonna work, he wasn't gonna let me leave, you know? I don't know if anyone's experienced that before, but you have to be very calculating in that sort of toxic shit, where he would just convince me to stay and physically not let me leave. So yeah. So we go back to his house. I'm pretty much dissociated and just like trying to make the days go by so that I can leave. And it gets worse, you guys. It gets worse. Okay? So the next night. I'm supposed to leave the night after that. But the next night we're at his house and we're watching. I know, I'm sorry. Trigger warning, you guys. It's okay. It's funny to me now. Like, I'm not traumatized by it at all. I'm aware. I am awake and aware now, is what I'd say. I'm not really traumatized by it. I think because I just have the tools to deal with this sort of shit. But the next day, we are at his house. It's nighttime. We're watching a movie. We're watching Across the Universe, which is, I don't know if you guys know that movie. It's like a Beatles music movie type thing. And it has Rachel Wood in it, who I super love. I love her. And she dated Marilyn Manson and had a really abusive time with him. Like, she has a documentary on HBO about his abuse. And something in my mind wanted to do this. I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I kind of was thinking, though. I kind of was. So I'm like, I love Rachel Wood to him. I'm talking to him. I'm like, I love her. She did this documentary about Marilyn Manson, and it was really interesting. He's such a piece of shit. And oh my God. And his response was, well, what kind of abuse? What kind of abuse did she endure? Which is fucking weird. That is a fucking weird thing to say. Like, I don't think I've ever had anyone react like that when when you hear about abuse. You're not like, tell me, like, describe it to me. Like, what the fuck? I was like, I don't remember. Like, why would I remember that shit? I black holed that shit. I don't remember. I think it was something like, I think he, like, tied her up for, like, hours and would, like, whip her. I don't remember, though. That's, like, vaguely what I remember. And he, you guys, you'll never guess what he said. You'll never guess. He said she probably liked it. That's what he fucking said. And I said immediately, I said, that is fucking vile. That is so vile to say. And he turns around to look at me and he's like, well, I don't know their situation. Like, oh my God, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. There's a documentary about it. Even if you don't know, I do. I did the research. Like, what do you mean? You know? Oh my God, you guys. So that triggered me. That triggered me a lot. And I said to him, it's very rapey. It's like really rapey to immediately side with the abuser. Like, you know. And that triggered him. Me calling him rapey triggered him so bad. He went into narcissistic, I don't know, rage. Is that the word? He finally did his lashing out at me. It was deranged. Yeah. Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. And so we had a big fight where he was like yelling about how I just hate men. I'm a man hater, and I don't understand his perspective. He has a different perspective being a man, and he's had situations where he was falsely accused and blah, 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 blah. And I just don't understand men. And I was just like, bro, this has nothing to do with anything. You are such a fucking deranged psychopath. So I'm realizing, basically I cut him off and I'm like, bruh, I feel like we just have like directly opposite life perspectives on something that's really important to me. Like feminism is a big part of my identity and this matters to me. And he was like, well, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. And I was like, well, then why are you dying on this hill of like fucking standing up for an abuser who has like been a known abuser for a long time with multiple women? And he's like, I'm not, you know, the fucking argument just deteriorated entirely because he became a toddler. And so I was like, yeah, I think we're just not compatible at this point. And he's like, yeah, I guess so. I guess so. And I was like, okay, cool. It was like 8 p.m. So I stood up and I went to get like my laptop and like started to pack up. And he stood up and you know how he acted. You know exactly what happened. He's like, oh, now you're leaving now? Just like that? You're going to leave? I was like, oh, God damn it. Here we fucking go. I was like, well, why not, bro? Like, why shouldn't I leave? He's like, wow. And honestly, I black holed what happened next because he just followed me around the house and yelled at me about how he hated women, essentially. So I'm realizing as he's following me to my room and I'm trying to pack up and he's screaming at me that I have way too much shit here to leave right now. Like, I was almost moved in. He wanted me to move in, basically. So I had, like, all my dogs, my cats, all of their stuff, all of my clothes, bedding, all of my bathroom. You know, I had, like, dude, right? I don't understand why women, oh my God, it's so deranged, dude. It's so deranged. He would always get so mad at me when I would make fun of the male loneliness epidemic. Like, he didn't understand what the male loneliness epidemic was. He thought it was just that he couldn't get laid. That's what that was to him, which is like, okay, so I realized that I wasn't going to be able to leave in this situation because he wasn't going to let me, like he never has. So I had to fawn. I had to dissociate and fawn. So I, like, stopped packing my shit. I stopped packing my shit. I put my hands together and I look down like I'm getting scolded by my dad. Let him keep yelling. And when he's done yelling, I'm like, I am so sorry for triggering you by calling you rapey. And he goes, good. I'm done now. I'm done with my fucking tantrum. And I had to, like, pretend to be cool for the next couple hours until he fell asleep. And once he fell asleep, it was like fucking 1 a.m. And so I decided I'd just wait, because I knew he was going to go to work the next morning. And when he was going to go to work, I was going to pack all my shit and leave and then be safe. So that's what happened. And we sleep in separate rooms. We slept in separate rooms because I like to sleep alone. And so in the morning, he got up and was still mad. You know how it is when, like, the narcissistic person wakes up still mad and, like, stomping around the house and, like, slamming cabinets and, like, grunting loudly, etc. So I knew that I was still not safe. But it was good because that would make me leave faster. Like, the shittier he was, the faster I'd leave, right? So what kills me, though, is that he loved Carl. Him and Carl had a very, very special bond. And he would open my door. He opened my door and was like, Carl, come eat breakfast. And, like, fed Carl an egg and then put him back in my room and was like, he said, I'm having a really bad day, so I'm just going to go to work early. And I said, cool. And he left. And I immediately got up. And packed all my shit. Everything I had, I fit in my truck. And I had that in the back of my mind when I would bring stuff up there. I wanted to make sure I could bring all of it at once. Because in the back of my mind, these red flags did plant in my mind. And I did have this in mind. So I wrote him a note. And I left it on the kitchen table, and it basically said, like, I'm leaving because I can't get the emotional safety that I want. It was, like, very fair. It was a very nice, fair note. I did give one jab at the end. I was like, good luck finding a nice girl that'll put up with how unhealed you are, you fucking monster. No, I didn't say that, but basically. And so I drove away, and I blocked his number, but I forgot to block him on Instagram because I was disheveled. Honestly, I had taken a Xanax too because I was, like, very obviously frazzled. And so this is also really interesting. He started, of course, messaging me on Instagram immediately when he realized I blocked him. And I blocked him there, and then he started calling me from blocked numbers, just over and over and over again. But I called my mentor on the drive home, and this is just, like, a little bit more lore, my lore, I should say. She's, like, my mentor she's a psychic medium. Her name's Paula, and she taught me how to do healings and Reiki and all that stuff. And she was I think it's not her fault, but she kind of pushed me to do this relationship because I remember when I was freaking out about him, and I called her and I was reading her his text messages. She was like, wow, he sounds great. And, like, told me about past lives we had together and shit, which was not healthy. Don't do that within the first week of meeting somebody. So I called her to be like, yo, this guy's a fucking Nazi and he hates women. Like, what the hell? And I call her and I'm telling her the Elon story first. And she sticks up for Elon too. My mentor, you guys. She was like, oh no, Elon just was giving his heart to people. Elon is an alien here to help us. He's here to help change and make things better. And I was just like, what fucking dimension am I in right now? This is like, I'm gonna go into psychosis. Like, there's no fucking way that my mentor is saying this shit right after I left an alternate reality with a fucking narcissist. Like, please God, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, interesting. What about all of his tweets about hating Jews? And she's like, well, I don't know anything about that. I'm like, uh-huh. Okay, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. And she kind of even, like, stood up for the Chad. She was like, well, he probably does have trauma. And it's like, okay, and so do I. Like, not enough Xanax, dude. There wasn't. I was like, okay, we're done. Talk to you later. And then I hung up on her and called my mom, and that helped. So he leaves me 5 voicemails the day I leave, and all 5 of them are deranged, you guys. They're all mean, and they are all like, the first one was like, I'm so confused. I don't understand. We had such a good day yesterday. What's going on? Yeah, and they got worse and worse, 100%. And none of the voicemails said sorry, or I acted unhinged, or I'm taking no responsibility taken, or acknowledged. Nothing acknowledged in the slightest. So, and one of them was one of the voicemails was him guilting me about taking Carl. He was like, I can't believe you took Carl. I can't believe it. We had such a connection. I can't believe you'd take him from me. Like, what the fuck? What? Like, pulling out all the stops except I'm sorry. Because he wasn't sorry. And one of them was just like a 2-second voicemail where he was like, Heidi, okay, and just hung up. Like, just a tantrum. Just a toddler throwing a tantrum. Yeah. Okay, and there's more. There's a little bit more. And it's just, it kind of wraps it up with a nice bow, I feel like. So he leaves me 5 voicemails. All of them are garbage. And, he doesn't contact me anymore at all, which I thought was interesting because I was expecting more calls over the coming days. But I also had in the back of my mind that this guy is a narcissist and he just wants supply. So he probably has other supply, so he'll probably get distracted with somebody else. Because we lived an hour and a half away from each other. So, like, we have this distance. Yeah. Oh my god. He did not stalk me or show up anywhere because I think he's too lazy. I think that I'm too far away. And also, I'll tell you the rest of the story, okay? So he didn't contact me at all. Except, so I left on Monday, and on Friday, I get a Venmo from him, which I forgot to block him on. And honestly, I considered it, but then I decided not to because I thought he might send me money, and I deserve that. So he sent me $99, and it said like an inside joke. It said something about, this is for you to buy a Krabby Patty, because we joked about that. And then he commented on it and said, I will always care for you. Oh, no. It said, I will care for you until the day I die, with the skull. No, he didn't say die. It was a skull. I will care for you until the day I skull. And I was like, what the fuck is $99? Like, I know that was on purpose. He was like, he wanted it to make me do a question mark, you know? But I was like, cool, money. And so I liked it because I was feeling stupid as fuck. But he didn't reach out or anything. And the next day, I checked the mail, and he had sent me a fucking Valentine's Day card that I would show you, but I burnt it. It was finally something kind of nice. It said, like, I will always love you. I miss you. I'm sorry, or something like that. It said I'm sorry, though. And I was like, wow, maybe, what is this about? This actually, and that's what's so fucking toxic about this type of relationship where you get love bombed with all of your dreams, and like, he connected with me and on all these levels that I haven't been connected with before because he knew what to say, because he did research, not because he meant it, was that still in my brain. I was like, he's sorry. Maybe he isn't a piece of shit. Like, I still don't want him to be a piece of shit. And I've talked to my therapist about this. Don't worry, you guys. Like, I know this is full-on daddy issues, but this is actually how I work through them, I guess, in this case. So I texted him. I unblocked him. And I texted him. And I said something like, I got your Valentine's Day card, but I don't understand how you could be confused about why we ended. You know we're not compatible emotionally. And his response, you guys, You're right, Angelina. You are right. That is exactly what he was sorry about. He was not sorry about anything else. His response to me being like, I was like, thank you for the card. Thank you. But like, I don't get how you're confused. I think that that's like a normal way to go about an interpersonal relationship when you're just trying to communicate with someone, but it's different when it's a narcissist playing games. And his response to that was like not acknowledging anything that I said. He just said, "That's fine, Heidi." Period. I really like your friend Paula. I think she's really special. And I had a vision. I have the flu. I have a really bad flu, and I like hallucinated a vision that I carried you from one place to another, like I did when we were at the beach that one time, which happened in real life. And I was just like, ugh, gross, bro. Like, what is this? Like, and he said, that's how I want to remember things. What? What fucking reality is this? What are you talking about? That's how you want to remember things? You want to remember things in some, like, mystical, not real way? I bet that's how you want to remember things, because when you remember how it really happened, you'll die of shame. Like, that is so fucking cringe, you guys. Exactly. Like, what the fuck? And I responded back, that is not how I will remember things. I will remember you carrying me into more heartbreak and then just hiding from all your trauma and using it as a weapon. And he responded back with, not all men have the luxury of healing. And we had that conversation. Me and him had that conversation where I was like, you literally can heal. You have money. I see it in the account. You can go to therapy. Like, you do have the luxury now of doing that. So he said that. Not all men have the luxury of healing or whatever. And I was just like, that's... And then he blocked me. He said that, and then he blocked me. Because I responded, and I said, you are just not taking responsibility for hurting people. Like, you're just hurting people and okay with it because you're hurt. Like, that's so typical. That's so red pill. That's so red wing. That's so, like, it's everything. It's Twitter. It's like, what? Bro. But he blocked me. So I was like, okay, I guess we're done here. And then 20 minutes later, he unblocked me, and he was unhinged, you guys. Unfucking hinged. I'm gonna actually post this screenshots to the Discord because I just, like, I need you to see these fucking texts. They were so fucking insane. And you can imagine if you've ever dealt with a really gnarly narcissist, like, they need to get the last word. And, like, when they have their temper tantrum, it's like, here they are. My God. I'm just gonna air out my laundry, you guys. I'm just gonna do even my responses. You can see the raw stuff. It's okay. I'm gonna bring it up here. Okay. Can you guys see it? Do I need to make it bigger? How's that? Where did my stream manager go? There we go. All right. So as you see, Heidi, I'm sick. You left and I got the worst, most violent flu I've ever had. I just can't right now. You have family, money, and friends. I don't. It's all that white male privilege I got. When I'm sick and puking my guts out, I'm on my own. Nobody gives a shit. Sends me red pill men's rights documentary. Maybe you could have listened better also. Your Dove soap was giving me PTSD, so being called a rape apologist wasn't great. I'm over it. Where is it? Red pill swallowed, he says at the end. That's what this is. If you lynch all the landlords, nobody is going to want to rent a house, Heidi. What? Bro? What? What? There's like so many layers to this, you guys. he has to talk about how he's sick. And that was what he said to his mom, too. When he was texting his mom all the unhinged things, he was saying that he was sick and dying and shit. And I was with him, and he was not sick. He was lying. So that was probably, and I left. I left, and he got the flu because I left. Okay? So you can see, this is just unhinged, right? The white male privilege. This video. I clicked on it, and it was a girl, you guys. It was a pick-me girl who did this video. So, of course, he was stoked on that. Men's rights, right? So I tried to give him like a real response here, which, I mean, we don't need to read it because we all of us here in chat get it. You've seen it? You've watched it? Oh my goodness. Was it good? I listened to the first like 30 seconds and I threw up, so I couldn't do it. If you guys have any questions about these specific things, I'll tell you, but I feel like I don't need to get into super details about his stupid shit and like what I said back. Okay, yeah, unhinged. That's kind of what I was thinking. Okay, so I tell him all this stuff that I thought was pretty communicative, and all he said was, "You give me a headache." And I don't trust you. He doesn't acknowledge anything I say, and he just says, "You give me a headache." And I don't trust you. Nobody ever been there for me. Just take and take and take. Leave me with the flu and gross-ass goat cheese. The goat cheese thing is because I would have goat cheese in my omelets, and I left the goat cheese there. And I guess he wanted to pretend he didn't like goat cheese. And I know! I need a Dove sponsorship. And I'm not even, he didn't read at all, dude. And the Dove story is actually really funny too, but I don't think I need to air that one out. He just says, "You give me a headache. I don't trust you. Nobody ever been there for me. Just take and take and take. Leave me with the flu and gross ass goat cheese. You don't get it. You got family and someplace to go. I don't." Well, maybe if you didn't text your mom like a fucking psychopath, you'd have a mom. I don't know. I'm sorry you're sick. Maybe no one was ever there for you because you pushed them away. That was my experience. And then he just yaps and yaps about how this doesn't make any sense to me, honestly. It's that you think I got it so good somehow, and there's some power dynamic here that I don't see. My life has been a living hell, and I really just want it over. So be thankful for what you have. Just deranged. Just fully deranged. And so in this, like, this last few texts we have, I'm like, okay, I'm really seeing this now. I'm really seeing what this Mars retrograde and direct station is doing for me in my 9th house, and it is disillusionment. I am seeing things. Yeah, we all fucking have a Chad, okay? And this is when it ends. This is the ending, and this is when it goes more off the rails. I said, "I never thought you had it so good. I just wanted respect." And then he goes, "I don't need a Hollywood rape culture argument after I spent my last dime trying to get you a nice dinner and losing $12K in stocks. I don't need that shit. So push away is probably the right perspective. It's not sustainable. I'd literally blow my brains out." And then he blocked me because I sent this, obviously, and it didn't deliver. And like, I fucking knew he'd do that shit. And the last dime on dinner, we went to like Chinese food the night before, and we shared 2 meals. Like, it was like a regular dinner. I know he has $80,000 in his bank. I know that this day, I think the stock market crashed, so he wanted to fucking use it against me. Dude, right? He thought he was poor, you guys. He told me there would be like financial abuse for sure if I continued doing this. So, oops. So that's the result of this chart. And what I learned a lot. It's true, the $99. Spent his last dime on dinner on me. That was probably one of the like most cringe things he said, in my opinion. Because I am probably the cheapest date ever. Like, I don't drink. Like, anyways, Anyways, I feel like I saw this in the chart. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about narcissism, which I thought I knew already, but no, I didn't. I know now. I know more. I learned a lot about astrology. I learned a lot about culture today, okay? Yeah. It's so weird. Not a singular dollar for the eggs. Yeah, just full of shit. Just full of complete, utter shit. So I learned astrologically, first of all, I think that this situation here, the Mars Pluto on my moon situation, I think that that was a big part of things. I'm not saying it's the only thing. I think that I can have a relationship with someone in this generation, but I think with Mars there, also the Neptune Sun opposition in my second and eighth house about him and his money shit, and just like the love bombing and the not being able, I just like projected on him. One thing I learned, I will give you the list, but the biggest thing I learned through this is that I am full of love, and I could fall in love with a paper bag in the gutter. Like, I could project onto a dumpster, I think. I could project onto anything and think it will give me, if it said the right things, I would. That's something I learned about myself. So I don't know if that's Neptune, but yeah, the Neptune Sun thing. Also, his Chiron on my descendant. I mean, this was all like pretty painful shit. Not gonna lie. Oh my god. I want to, but I don't want to. I don't want to open that can of worms anymore because I don't want him to threaten to blow his brains out if he has to be in a relationship with me anymore. Like, that was gnarly. Like, I don't need that. Like, we're good. I also learned that I had kind of pushed away the idea of actually really falling in love with somebody and like settling down with somebody again, because my divorce was pretty traumatic and I didn't think that that was real for me, or it couldn't be real for me. And I was able to project that dream again, I learned, onto a paper bag that hated women and Jews, but next time I'll do better. I also, the daddy issues thing, like, that was really, he reminded me of my dad in a lot of ways. I know that's really gross, but I consciously knew that, like, within the first month or two, when me and him would have actual conversations about feminism or, culture in general, it was really stimulating because I felt like he was hearing me. I felt like I was turning the red pill guy a little bit. I wasn't at all. I do have my dad. I could do my dad too. I should look up my dad. That's a good idea. Dude, my mentor. Oh my God. I called her too, actually. I called her again when I got the second text from Chad that was like, your friend Paul is really special. I had a vision, blah, blah, blah. That like really fucked me up. So I called her and I like didn't bring up Elon at all, because I think that that's just like, I feel like that just means she watches Fox News, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to say about that, but she was really helpful with how, like, I read her the texts and she was like, I think he has, something's wrong with his brain, like, and I don't mean this in an insulting way, like, I think he has brain damage in some fashion. I think so too. Oh my God, Chad and Paula together. That'd be so amazing. The other dude, he said, oh my God, I forgot to tell you. He would like tell me he was tired of wokeness. He was tired of the wokeness. And I wish that I had the wherewithal to ask him to define what woke means, because these people are so fucking stupid when they say that word. What was I talking about? What I learned. Oh yeah, it was really, really stimulating to like have Twitter arguments in person with this guy, where I would like prove him wrong. He'd pull up like a Jordan Peterson argument, and I would argue him and prove him wrong. And it like was stimulating in a way, because I felt like maybe I was teaching him something and he acted like he was hearing me. And it was kind of like mirroring what I would want to say to my dad if I could, because he said the same shit my dad would say. And so I would get to say what I wanted to say to my dad to him. And I felt that was part of healing my daddy issues. There's a lot of moving parts here, but after the like first 6 weeks, the mask started to drop and he stopped hearing me, and that stopped. It became my dad actually, where I wasn't being listened to. And I think that that's his Aquarius moon on my North Node. Daddy shit. But what else? I learned that I'm desperate to not live here. I think that was a really big part of why I jumped in so fast, because I don't want to be here. That was something I learned. And I'll pull up my chart. So you know how I wanted to like date multiple people and I ended up sucked into this narcissistic toxic entanglement? I just want to give myself some credit, because when we're looking at my chart, like, what planets are the only angular planets in my chart? Fucking Venus and Pluto and Mercury. Like, those are the planets that are in my life directly all the time. So I need to give myself some grace, because I'm a relationshipy person. And also, dating apps are exhausting and overwhelming, and any excuse to not look at them anymore was really nice too. So we're gonna give me grace because of my angularness. But also, don't date anyone named Chad, because they know that people hate their names. Like he said, he like, ever since he was a kid, he was like called a Chad basically. And if you've ever heard the song A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash, he thought that his Chad name was similar to that, which is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Thank you. Yes, I made it out. And I think astrologically, synastry is not everything, right? We already know that. But like, even toxic relationships can have mostly great charts. And just because it feels destined doesn't really mean anything. There's the culture of the person with the chart that matters a lot. Also, yes. Also, current transits matter, I think. Current transits happening to my chart, pretty much. So it was a Jupiter retrograde thing. And eclipses are going to start in my 5th house soon. Pluto is squaring my Venus. And of course, the Mars retrograde situation, right? I think I already talked about that. And also, I just want to say that I feel like Trump winning the presidency and doing everything that he's doing is really emboldening racism and misogyny. And I feel like Chads of the world feel like they're finally heard or something. I don't know. But I feel like he wouldn't have been so emboldened to be such a dick if it wasn't supported by the culture. I don't know. The pro of this was that I hurt a red-pilled guy, and that's good. He needed to be hurt. The con is that I probably radicalized him worse, though. I probably made him hate women more. So whoops. Whoopsie dipsies. What's funny, too, is my first conversation with Chad was on election day. So that was just a symbolic, funny thing. But yeah, moving forward with my experiment. So I haven't heard from him or anything. Like, that was it. He blocked me. I blocked him everywhere after that, even Venmo. And we're done because that wasn't a real relationship. That was a figment of my imagination. It was like a 2-month dream of weirdness with a psychopath, deranged man. And moving forward, I'm back on the dating apps, and I have some good elections. I'm being way more picky this time, because last time I put like nothing on my profile just so that I could get projected on and get as many people to match with me, so I could get as many charts as possible to like sift through and figure out who I wanted. And so and that was a mistake because I accidentally got love bombed by a fucking neo-Nazi. So I needed to be specific about being a leftist and being a feminist and liking TikTok. Like, all of my prompts on all of my dating apps are all based on what I learned from Chad, which I find really funny. And so I'm definitely being pickier. I'm making my profile less projectable. I'm quality over quantity. I don't want good synastry with someone whose values I don't align with, because that's a nightmare. The chart doesn't show values. The next story will be good. Okay, so the next stories won't be as traumatic, is what I should say. This was, I think, the big one, just so that I could get it out of the way. I don't know. The other thing I want to do, I want to start matchmaking for other people. I want to start, if anyone wants me to help them on dating apps or with whoever they're trying to date and they have a chart and they want, like, I want to matchmake for people. I think that'd be a really fun section of this to do. And I'm talking to 4 guys right now, and I want you guys to help me pick which one I should do. And then we're done. I'm sorry it's been an hour. I be yapping. We like juicy, not traumatizing. Yeah, I agree. I'll be able to tell from a mile away being loved. Because now I was talking to... Bro, I'm not used to dating apps. This is my second time on the dating apps. The first time was with the Chad, and I immediately deleted it because they're so overwhelming, and I feel my brain chemistry changing. It's so fucking strange to be swiping like a catalog of men, just endlessly, saying yes or no. Like, what the fuck is this doing to my brain? It feels really weird. It's like a muscle that needs to grow to handle it. I don't know. That's why people say, like, dating apps are hard, I guess. I was talking to way too many people, but I narrowed it down to 4, and here they are, okay? What do you think about this guy? What do you think about this chart? He is the same age as Chad. So we still have the Pluto moon, and we have the Neptune sun opposition. But look at all of his Leo stuff. He's very fiery. The Aries moon and all Leo stuff. Like, I think that I just have to go on a date with him just to let you know what it's like to go out with someone who has this much Leo in their chart. I'm sure it'll be... I feel like it will... I don't know his rising sign. He didn't know his time. So maybe he has something that isn't fire. This one probably looks the most like yours. Look at all this fire. You're the Aries Leo mixture. Oh yeah, I know. I wonder what this is gonna be like. He's not love bombing me yet. Nobody's doing that. So I'll probably go. He asked me to get drinks at some point. He asked me to get drinks this weekend, and I was busy, so I said I couldn't this weekend. And so we haven't planned anything. That was just kind of how it ended. And I like him because he is a Santa Cruz surfer bro. He also lived on the Big Island for like 12 years on a cattle ranch, which is all like my shit. That's all my shit. So I'm excited to see about that. And then we have this one. This guy's my favorite right now. I don't know if he's a Nazi. You can't tell if they're Nazis in the chart, but I did say specifically in my prompts that do not go out with me if you listen to Jordan Peterson. And I feel like that kind of covers all of that. I feel like, hopefully. But yeah, you can't see Nazi stuff in a chart. I wish you could. A little Nazi symbol somewhere. His name was Cody. the other guy is Cody. This guy is Sean. Right now, I think I like him the best, only because he is sending me a bunch of memes, which is like my love language, you know. And he's a Sag rising. So many Sag risings. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm attracting all the Sag risings right now. I've never been with a Capricorn Venus. That's interesting. It trines my Venus very closely. And he's got this stuff in Pisces too. I don't know what to expect, but he asked me on a date this week. So we are going to go get some drinks in the city at some point on sometime at the end of the week. So I'll let you know. But his Gemini stuff, like, the Gemini Sag axis. Like, I feel like he's going to be playful and not so serious like the Chad was. Okay. Not him. Him. I like him. I'm very interested in this chart because of all this shit in Scorpio. I've never dated a Scorpio before. And his moon is in Taurus, which I like, and he's Virgo rising. These are all interesting things to me. His Chiron on my midheaven is kind of sketch. And the Venus on my moon, I don't know. It just looks interesting. It looks interesting. Not like crazy, but interesting, right? I feel like I'd like a Scorpio. I feel like that'd be cool. I do wonder about his Venus. I just really get all fucked up about my 12th house. Like, do I want things contacting my moon? I don't know. In the 12th house? But yeah, he's cool. He's also a Santa Cruz surfer guy, but he's younger than me. He's the one younger guy. And then this guy is interesting. He is a Scorpio moon, which I've never dated. The Cancer sun gives me all of this Cancer stuff is interesting because my ex-husband was a Cancer, but he didn't have Mercury and Venus there too. So, I mean, and he's a Leo rising with Mars on his ascendant. Yeah. Yep. I do want my 12th house assessed. Hi! You made it to the end. Oh, okay. You know about Scorpio moons. I am interested. This guy, we connected over cartoons, pretty much. He said in his profile that he wants to hang out with someone who will watch cartoons, and like that's a rare thing that I like too. So we bonded over that, and we were talking about King of the Hill, and I told him I had a King of the Hill tattoo and stuff. And it's funny because of all the guys, he seems the most sensitive because he was like slowest to ask me my number. And when I gave him my number, I accidentally typoed and gave him the wrong number. And, and I corrected it within like 5 minutes, but he didn't text me for like over a day. And I was like, that is so Cancer Scorpio. That is so Cancer Scorpio. But also, I think he's probably, he's a Leo rising, and I just did that. I just fucking did that with Chad. So he's not number one on my I want to see about it list, but I am curious, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So what do you guys think? Do you like this Scorpio moon guy, Court? Slow might be it's definitely a good change of pace. I also, my therapist, I saw a TikTok that said this girl, she said that she was a serial monogamist, and her therapist told her that she should go on dating apps and specifically date multiple people at the same time and not get involved, just to like work out that muscle. And I am interested about that. I am interested in seeing if I can do that. I think I can, as long as the guy isn't going to love bomb me and be insane. Because, again, the paper bag can be very enticing if it's shiny enough. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back. This guy, I am going to see about him because I'm curious what the moon Mars is going to be. I don't think it'll be very good. But I don't know. The moon Mars and Pluto moon seems kind of sketch. But what's interesting about this guy is that we have so much in common. He and I went to the same high school. He grew up where I ride horses, and he, like I said, he lived on the Big Island. Like, we have a lot of weird synchronicities. I don't like his Mars. I don't like his Mars. Hi, Mommy. My mom's here, guys. Everyone say hi to my mommy. And yeah, Chiron is kind of scary. Yeah. But yeah, this is the one I'm going on a date with. So what do you guys think? What should I be afraid of here? Like, what should I be concerned about? She's in the YouTube chat, you guys. I'm sorry. Mom, you gotta come on Twitch. Everyone's saying hi and asking you questions. So this guy, what do you think? What should I be warned about? Because I'm going on a date with this one this week. My Chiron default answer. Yeah, well, his Chiron being on my sun is kind of sketch. I mean, I've kind of resorted. I feel like I don't know if I'm marriage material. And maybe I know for a fact that when I'm in relationships with people, when we're all in relationships with people, we heal a lot. So, like, Chiron will be big, I think. Because any guy I'm with, really, like, when you think about dating as a straight person, the amount of men who have awareness that, I should say, I think it has to do with my daddy issues and who I'm attracted to, right? That's the problem. That's the real problem. Maybe I'm just working through that. The Saturn, I don't like his Saturn in my second house. I don't mind it in his first house, as long as, only because his second house doesn't look that bad. I know. I'm wondering if he's aware. It's in his 7th house, so he probably has had traumatic relationships. I'm going to ask him about how he feels about his mom immediately. Because the moon Chiron conjunction sounds like mommy issues to me. And also, his south node is on my moon. What do we think about that? Exactly. You're right, AF. Yeah, show me your most recent text with your mom. Mom, my mom, you go to twitch.tv/Pixarty. Yeah, the Mars and Aries is very interesting. We both have Mars and Aries. I wonder about that. I've never dated someone who also had Mars and Aries. And his Jupiter is on his IC. So I wonder if he's like an addict. Oh, the Venus Neptune? Kinda. I guess, yeah, there's a Neptune trine too. And then his Pluto on my ascendant. I don't know, guys. I'll let you know how this goes. I'll let you know. But this is the guy that is sending me a bunch of memes. So that's what we're going to call him, the meme guy. Okay, guys, do you have any questions? Or do you have any questions or things you want me to expand on? Yeah. His chart is not my first choice either, but he is the one who asked me out first. So the data ensues, you know? Another thing I learned from Chad is maybe I shouldn't go for the best chart, because then it's just more of an entanglement. It's harder to get out. Like, I didn't want my experiment to end. I was so pissed that the experiment ended. It didn't end, though. It was just, the data was just extra long. His name is Meme Guy. I don't think I can give you guys their real names anymore. I don't think I should. I was already bad enough with how much I gave with the last guy, who we will not name evil Voldemort man. This guy is meme guy. If you text me. Just text me and I'll tell you his name. I'm just not going to do it publicly. You don't look at the charts at all? But I'm supposed to predict. So that's the thing. Okay, so that's what I was going to say, dude. I want to call him Kyle. So my plan with this was to do this on TikTok. And now I'm not really sure because I don't know if TikTok's going to survive. You know what I mean? So my first plan was to do a video predicting how I thought it would go. Or maybe it'd be one video where, like, in the first half, I predict how it goes. In the second half, I tell you how it went. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, a little story like that. I don't know, though. I haven't tried it yet, so it's probably a work in progress. I have half of it filmed. I just got to post. Just got to do it. But I wanted to tell you guys the tea first because it helps me to process what I'm doing when I can tell you all the astrology of it and also just the unhinged of it all. So yeah, do you guys have any questions or comments or advice for me moving forward, or any thoughts on astrology and toxic relationships, or ideas for my dating profile to avoid chads? Yeah, we'll see what I can do. Because what I have filmed already, no, I'm not going to elect the date. That's too hard. But that's a good idea. If I could, I would. Hi, Mommy. She's here answering questions. Yeah. So I have filmed my pre-date video. And I have with Chad. And I have filmed my post-date video with Chad. But I think I got to do another, like, short one, kind of wrapping up what really happened. What really happened, actually. And then I think my format will be, I'll do a get ready with me. I'll do a get ready with me where I predict, and then that'll be a video. And maybe a playlist, you know. I'll do a get ready with me about what I'll predict and how we met and the vibes. And then I do a second video where I come back from the date and I spill the tea. So the first real one will be this week at some point. And I gotta figure out how to post that Chad one, and I gotta figure out how to do an intro video to the playlist that's like, hi, are you interested in astrology and reality dating? If so, you'll probably like this. You might be entertained by this playlist. But I also have to mentally prepare for maybe having to do that on Reels, which really grinds my gears. I'll get through it. I'll work through it. But yeah. You made it just in time for the end, Mommy. I just told them all about my scary, deranged date. And this is a chart for the guy who I'm going on a date with later this week. And I'll tell you about him later when I'm at your house for the Super Bowl. Yeah, we're all gonna beat his ass. I should call him and be like, will you come back? Come back. And then he'll come back and we can all just beat his ass. Yeah, Mom, what's your opinion on all of this? It's so funny. I don't know, you guys. That was pretty wild. That was a pretty wild adventure, and it really opened my eyes to what people can be like and how bad it is when you go down the Twitter pipeline. Throw him in the pool. Drown him. Interesting. What a fucking loser, you guys. Like, honestly, I don't, like, brain damage is the best way to describe it because I don't know how you could be that fucking stupid. Like, that's so dumb, right? My goodness, you guys. Okay, well, that's the tea. And I guess moving forward, I'll try and make TikToks or short form. Maybe I'll do it on YouTube Shorts. Oh my god, cringe. I have to try all the things, right? So that'll be my next thing, and then I'll let you guys know when the date happens, and maybe I'll do a live to recap that if you are interested. Thank you guys so much for listening to me. You all being here, witnessing, and letting me and hearing me, it was very healing. So I really appreciate that. Alive during the date. Oh my god. He might be down. He's a Gemini moon. None of them know that I'm doing this yet, though. I'm not telling them, you know. So, thank you again, you guys. I love you all so much. Thank you for being in this community. And I will see you all next time. Bye, guys.